learning under Katsuri Shibata for a while was it showed me a lot of the little intricate things that I was actually doing incorrectly. It really had me rethink my fundamentals.
Sarcophagus, which he is the mummy. He is a fez-wearing mummy with a red coat and really bad puns.
I was RDC's first title fight, and now it's the first international fight. So I was super excited to have an opponent from overseas.
You, petty human with the mask, tell me where Optimus Prime is.
Hey, am I seeing things, or is there like a giant talking robot looking at me right now?
Do not mess with me, human. Bring me Optimus Prime.
How about I bring you a hockey stick to the face, pal? Google!
I went up to the luxury boxes where they had a box for family and friends. And that's when I looked out and I saw this little tiny ring in this giant sea of people, and I was like, holy fuck, I just did that. That's crazy.
I really think Superman's going to be another Blue Beetle, the Flash situation where they end up losing money. I would like to be proven wrong. I would like for it to be good.
This week's episode is sponsored by Dubby Energy Drinks. Dubby is a brand that is tried and tested with thousands of monthly people consuming their drinks. Dubby launched with just one flavor and slowly grew, and now they have created over 15 plus unique custom-made flavors that are enjoyed by thousands of monthly customers. So get off the big energy bandwagon and check out Dubby. This is how an energy drink should be. Jitter-free, crash-free, no sugars, no artificial colors or dyes, and no calories. And right now, you can get 10% off with the promo code ATPC90 from us here at the Adam Talks podcast as a special gift for you, just for checking out the show. So go to w.gg and use the promo code ATPC90 to get 10% off of your order now. Welcome back to another one. We got a great show for you this time, and another guy that is into audio dramas, but he also has a podcast and all kinds of other stuff. We are talking to the guy himself, Tai Tiger. How's it going, man?
Yo, what's going on, dude? Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all, man. I've listened to some of your Tiger Tales stuff, the Unionverse. Dude, that stuff's really mind blowing. It's crazy. How did you even come up with doing what you did? Because it's combining the DC and Marvel universes. Yep.
So when it comes to Unionverse, so it's more of a DC combined, and basically it all started because the first few stories I was uploading didn't have any voice actors. It was just me. I was writing, narrating, and uploading the stories, and I have a content creator partner who also does audio dramas, and he started using voice actors, and he was telling me about it, and I was asking questions, and I was like, okay, let's see if I can get some voice actors roped in. So I came up with Mutants for Hire, which was the first story uploaded to the Unionverse. I didn't want to play around with too many already existing Marvel characters. I didn't mind having them in the story, but I didn't want to I was scared to, use a character that already exists. I didn't want to, piss anyone off. I didn't want to, upset the fans or anything. So I was like, okay, let's create a team of my own. Hence the Mutants for Hire. They're, not exactly criminals, but they're not exactly heroes. They kind of borderline anti-hero, I guess. And so I put it on Instagram, I put it on TikTok, I put it everywhere, and I said, hey, if you've ever made your own mutant, and if you want to try voice acting, that'd be cool. If not, that's fine as well. But I'm trying to make an audio drama with made up mutants, and within I think a day, maybe 48 hours, I had 3 people message me, and I had my Mutants for Hire. I created one myself as well. And so Mutants for Hire was the start of it, and I really enjoyed writing that. I had Gambit and Rogue, Sabretooth, and Pyro in it from Brotherhood of Mutants and X-Men. They also all have voice actors, and I was hooked. I was hooked on the voice actors. I was hooked on writing a story that had voice actors in it, and so I wanted to do something with DC, which then came War Against Gotham, and I had the idea of, what if Batman wasn't around? I wanted no Batman. I thought that'd be really cool. Put Nightwing, as the leader, and I was like, do you know what? Yeah, let's try this. And then one of my loyal listeners, he asked me, hey, do they exist in the same universe? I was like, no, why? And he kind of said to me that I've done something similar with both stories, where in Mutants of Higher I stated that some of the X-Men are gone, and in War Against Gotham I mentioned Batman's gone. And that one question kind of got my head turning, and then I think overnight I kind of created the Universe, where I've put Marvel and DC together. Some of the heroes vanished the day of the two universes collided, and I now have a whole universe filled with different stories. They've got OCs mixed in there. There's characters now that you'll know, but I'm no longer afraid to turn the tables on their progression of stories and stuff. And yeah, it's one huge roller coaster at the minute.
It's like one never-ending story. It's long and it's all interconnected and stuff. And I think the cool thing about it is that you have all of these OCs, these original characters, The first thing that I remember listening to was, it was called Before Death Became a Doctor. And that was a real dark one, man. That was unique. What was that one? How did that one come to be?
Okay, so going back to War Against Gotham, Joker's my favourite Batman villain. And I wanted to pay homage to the Joker. I didn't want to use the Joker, but I wanted to pay homage to this character. He's one of my favourite fictional villains of all time. So I created a character called Dr. Dead. Now, Dr. Dead's actually in my original story universe, but I just adapted him into DC. I made him a DC character, and basically, Dr. Dead is a schizophrenic. He's got multiple personality disorder, or whatever the term is nowadays, I don't know, but he's got multiple personalities, and I made it so the Joker, just before the two universes collide, the Joker put a chip in Dr. Dead's head. And it's a safety precaution because Joker thought, well, Dr. Dead's nuts as it is. He's the one person in existence who could handle the Joker's mentality. So in War Against Gotham, Dr. Dead has three personalities. There's Cornelius, which is actually Dr. Dead's real name. There's a being called Agony, which is the Joker-esque character. He's a psychopath. He looks after Cornelius in a dark way. And then you have the Joker chip, which is the Joker, and he also has a voice actor. And then I wanted to explain Cornelius' story. I really wanted to explain that from, him being a kid to a teenager to an adult. How did he get the name Dr. Dead? How did he meet the Joker? And things like this. How did he get the chip in his head? So I do some first-person perspective storylines on Tai Tales Stories. I was like, hey, let's do a prequel of Dr. Dead, where I can have Cornelius narrate it, and I can have all these different voices. I can also maybe have it so there's more than just Agony, there's other personalities as well. I can rope in different voice actors, which I have done, and then when the Joker chip gets put in, I could play along and say, hey, the Joker chip actually silences all of the personalities other than Agony, because Agony is his main other split personality. Agony is his defender. He's the guy who's very happy to, kick the crap into someone, kill someone. He's just a psychopath. He's like, he considers himself, Cornelius's, guide, his protector and things. So he's too strong for the Joker chip to cancel out. But, yeah, so that's where, and the name Before Dead Became a Doctor, I just thought sounded kind of cool because Dr. Dead. So yeah, it's a pretty cool storyline to one of my villains.
Definitely, man. That story had me kind of hooked in listening to these things, and I listened to some of the Mutants for Hire stuff. Very cool, very intricate, And I thought it was cool how Sabretooth was in there. Like you said, Sabretooth's one of the characters that are in this universe, this Unionverse as it is. And I just think it's really cool how you weave these original characters into this giant world of Marvel and this giant world of DC, and how you weave those two together as well. I also thought another cool character was the new Spider-Man that you had. How did you figure on that one? And I mean, for those that don't know, this guy, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lady in charge of something, and she's in charge of, I don't remember what exactly, slips my mind, but her son is the new Spider-Man, correct?
Okay, so, funny enough, this one's actually really personal. So his name's Logan Hart, and he's based off my own son, who's also called Logan. Funny enough, Logan's actually named Logan because of Wolverine, so that's a nice little, full circle there.
Wow.
And he's huge into Spider-Man. Spider-Man's his favorite superhero. To this day, he's about to turn 6 on the 11th, so his birthday's in a couple... Well, for me, it's now the 9th, so in 2 days. Logan lives with me. Me and him are best of friends. We have our own YouTube channel together called Best Buds, because we are best buds. And I wanted to have something for him, and... it's not the first time that I've put Logan in a story. Actually, me and my content creator buddy, who's also does audio dramas, we both put our kids in. I use his kids, he's used Logan. We kind of use our kids a lot in making OCs. And so I wanted to use Logan. I was like, hey, I want to make my own Spider-Man. Let's use Logan. Logan is based off my kid. Obviously, he's more the teenager in the storyline. And yeah, he becomes Spider-Man. So his mum is the news reporter you hear in Mutants for Hire. And funny enough, the news reporter, the voice actress, is actually my own mother.
Wow.
So you've got my mum playing the news reporter, and in the storyline, her son is my kid, her grandson.
Wow.
So yeah, I managed to make that a nice connection. And then in the Spider-Man story, he hangs out with the new Vixen from DC. There's a new Vixen, and her voice actress is my stepmother, my mother's wife.
Wow.
Yeah, so I managed to do a full circle and connect all these stories, connect it with my family, and I managed to pull off a big one there.
That's pretty cool, man. I didn't know any of that. That's awesome, and I think the people you have in this do stellar work, and I think you do a very good job of writing. Is it a difficult task for you to come up with these stories?
I wouldn't say it's hard for me to come up with stories. I think the hardest thing is deciding who do I want to keep around. Because obviously I've made it a point that Unionverse in story has been a thing for about just over a year. I think I labeled it as in Mutants Fire. So it's been about, call it just over a year that the two universes merged, and on Union Day, as what the people call it, the day that the two universes combined, we lost heroes and villains. We lost these people. We don't know where they are. There's no sign of them. I didn't want to kill them off because I don't know what I'm going to be like in 2 years' time. I may want to bring Batman back, So I wanted to leave that door open. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is deciding, okay, do I want to make this character around? Do I want to make this character the same as they've always been? Do I want to do something fun with them? Or do I want to make it so they're not around right now? And if so, is it because of Union Day? So, for example, I'll give you an example. In War Against Gotham, I have Alfred. But Alfred has a War Machine suit of armor, which has been painted in the colors of a butler, and he calls himself the Iron Butler. So I got Alfred in an Iron Man suit basically, and he uses it when he needs to. So I get to do fun things like that. And like Atrocitus, for example, he's too weak. He's battered and bruised. There's not many Red Lanterns left to charge up the Red Lantern batteries, and so he's hiding in a cave on a random planet. I get to kind of play off a different version of Atrocitus and have a very weakened Atrocitus. What does Atrocitus do when there is no Red Lanterns? And there's one Red Lantern now at the minute in the story. What happens when one of the darkest, most gruesome, powerhouse characters is nothing but a cripple in a corner type idea. And so that's the hardest part, is what Marvel and DC characters do I keep around, and how do I play around them if I do keep them around?
Yeah, well, I mean, the question, I guess, another question would be, how do you stay true to those characters and who they really are whenever you put them in these different situations? Because, most of the stuff that I've ever worked on is original stuff as far as audio dramas go. So I've done very few, like fan-made stuff with these other characters, making my own stories with other people's characters and stuff. And I try to stay as true as I can to their characters, because, you don't want Batman to be running around in a super bright suit or anything like that if you're making a Batman anything. You don't want him to be happy and jovial or anything. So you got to stay true to who they are. You want Bruce Wayne to be Bruce Wayne and Batman to be Matt Murdock and Daredevil. You know what I mean? You want it to be true. Whenever you're weaving these stories together, whenever you're making these stories so unique and so different, putting these characters in different situations, how do you keep to their the true core of who the character is?
Well, so far, the characters I have kept around, I've either been a massive fan of, or I know a lot about them, or I'm really willing to do my research. I'm a big comic book nerd myself. If I can't find the comic book in person, I'll find a way to read it online. I make sure if I do get a piece of information from an outside source, I make sure they're credited. Certain YouTubers, for example, like Comic Storian, I know for a fact, they'll give the right information. Variant Comics will give the right information, so I can always rely on them, and things. So it's more just making sure that you have the right info. And then if I do something drastic, like for example giving Alfred a Iron Man suit or a War Machine suit, then I have to make sure it's justified. So in this example, the reason why Alfred has a suit is because during Union Day, he was useless. He sat in the Batcave and watched the entire event happen. He watched Batman disappear, and at the moment, out of the Bat family, the only ones I've really brought back is Nightwing. I haven't got Barbara, I haven't got Red Hood, I haven't got Tim, I haven't got Damian, none of them. It's only Nightwing at the minute. Oh no, sorry, Damian is around, he's just not a part of the Bat family anymore. He's got nobody other than Dick now. That's the only person he can look after, and so he felt incredibly useless. So after Union Day, he got given this War Machine suit, and he got told, look, if you ever need to wear it, it's there for you to leave it in the Batcave for a week. So he keeps it in the Batcave as a last resort type deal, which he now uses because Dr. Dead is a formidable foe, and he never wants to be in the situation again where he sits and watches his family disappear in a blink of an eye, and not having the chance to do anything about it, hence why it's justified. So as long as I can justify a change, like Atrocitus being weak in a cave, there are no more Red Lanterns. I actually don't have a lot of lanterns around at the minute, so all the lantern main core batteries are weakened. And now that I do have a Red Lantern on Earth who's killing people, fueling the red battery and things, Atrocitus is getting stronger. I made sure I googled it, I made sure I went up with the lore, and Red Lanterns, they need Red Lanterns to exist. Without Red Lanterns wearing the rings, because their rings act like their heartbeat, they act like another heart. Without Red Lanterns, the red battery is weak, which means Atrocitus is then also weak, because he is fueled by Red Lanterns, because he is one. They all connect. Because there was no Red Lanterns, he would be almost dead. So, having a new Red Lantern, in the chapters that I'm uploading, because the Universe podcast isn't up to date, there's 10 more chapters I've got to upload, I think, maybe 11. It's not fully up to date just yet. But I've now started to integrate that. Atrocitus is getting stronger. He's able to, stand up a bit. He's able to walk around. And eventually he'll be back to normal. But as long as I justify the change, that a way that I believe would make sense. And again, I research. I make sure I read the comics. I make sure that, I'm getting my credit where credit is due and all that stuff. I'm okay with doing, certain changes. I just gotta make sure that it would work in, not exactly, it doesn't have to work in the comic book, but it just has to me as a fan, it has to be justified.
Definitely, man. Definitely. There needs to be a reason for any of the changes to happen. And I can completely understand that. Um, Whenever you're writing, does it, do you, you talked about your mom and stepmom and your son being intricate parts of certain stories and stuff. Is there any other parts of your life that you weave into the stories that you make? Because I've talked to writers, like my cousin was the first episode on this season, and she said, write about what you know, or use what you know to write, draw from real life experiences and this and that. And, I've heard other people in entertainment say the same thing. Do you do that? Do you do that sort of thing? And is it difficult when you're doing that?
Oh, good question. Kinda. So the best way to explain it is, I agree, by the way, with your cousin. Write what you know, but in my head, it's write what I didn't have. So, like, for example, the reason why Mutants for Hire. You heard that, bro?
Yeah, man. Allergies are hitting me, dude. I'm telling you.
Damn. So, like, Mutants for Hire, there's 4 of them. They're not related in any way, but they consider each other like brothers, and they will defend each other to the end of the earth. If one of them gets knocked down, the other 3 are there to pick him back up, but also kick the crap into the dude who knocked him down. I didn't have friends growing up. I didn't have my first proper friend until I was 16. I didn't have any friends as a kid. I don't remember ever being invited to birthday parties. I never had birthday parties. I never had anyone sleep over. I was the geeky kid in the corner of the classroom in school, reading comic books, and I got bullied to hell for it. And I didn't have any friends until I was 16 years old, and I'm still friends with the same person who I became friends with when I was 16. And so, because I didn't have that, friendship, that bond, I didn't have anyone to consider as a best friend as a kid, I write of what would I want from a friend, and that's why the Mutants for Hire treat each other like brothers, because that's what I would have done. I would have treated my friend, my best friend, like a brother. I would have protected him no matter what. I do. If I call him my brother from another mother, if he ever needs me, he can call me. He comes over. He's got a key to my house. He's my son's uncle. He calls him Uncle Dude, and things. So I kind of write in the sense of, what would I want? So, like, for example, Logan, he's got a really good relationship with his mum. Now, yes, okay, my mum is my voice actor, but me and my mum were never good when we were growing up. It's only been the last couple years that we've been okay, but there have been times where we'll stop talking for a little while, couple months, couple years, etc., etc. I think the longest we stopped talking was 5 years and a half. And so, my mum's been in and out of my life for most of my life, so I've always wanted that good connection with my parents. So, I've got Logan, the character, who's got a solid relationship with his mum, and at some point in the storyline, he's gonna tell her, hey, mum, I kind of have something to tell you. I'm a superhero. His mum's instant response is, you really don't think I'll know when my son's sneaking out of a house at 1 o'clock in the morning to go save someone? She knows, basically. She's gonna know, because I want them to be that close. This is why, Spider-Man's best friend is Vixen, and they're really good friends, because, again, I didn't have any friends. Anytime I've got a parent-kid relationship, so, Mr. Pocket, he's in Mutants for Hire, he's also in, cameos in a lot of my stories. He's the reason why the universe is created. He's a multiversal being, but he's pretending to be human. Otclos, my Mutant for Hire character, he's the character I made. He's Otclos' dad, and I make it so Otclos and Mr. Pocket are 100% solid, even though, his son's going out kicking the crap into people, saving people, doing all this Mutant for Hire stuff. Mr. Pocket's cool with it, because I don't have a relationship with my dad that much. I see my dad once a year, if that. I don't have that. So I write what I would have wanted, if that makes any form of sense.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I think it's cool how you have the relationships in this, like you said, mutants for hire. They're like brothers. The good relationship between Spider-Man and his mom, the reporter. Uh, your character and Mr. Pocket. It's awesome having those and showing how a good bond really shines through in these relationships. And if you have a good bond, makes that story so much more powerful most of the time. I mean, I haven't seen many stories where a good relationship in it doesn't, unless it's like way too much. I can't think of any examples. But I've watched shows where people were like, besties, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like all the time in the show, and it's like you are doing this way too much. What is this story even going to be about? What is this episode even right now? Or what is this movie even? But you got that perfect blend of serious tone, of good personal relationships between your characters and stuff, and I think it's awesome, man. As far as your podcast, want to talk a little bit about that? Tiger
Yeah,
Nexus
sure.
podcast, man.
Yeah.
You talk, from what I understand, when we've talked before, it is talking to social media content creators mainly, and anybody else that you can have on. How did it all get started? How did you get into podcasting?
So yeah, Tiger Nexus podcast, the best way that I explain it to people is I interview content creators and I geek out with geeks and anything in between. Usually those two overlap each other. My interviewed guests usually come back for a second episode and we geek out about stuff. Basically, I was a guest on If You Give a Dad a Podcast, and he works for Original Geek, which Nick.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so Jared is a part of Original Geek, a part of Nick's company, and he's got a podcast called If You Give It Out a Podcast, and he joined Discord that I'm a part of, which again was for another podcast. We were very Power Ranger related, and Jared's into Power Rangers, so he joined, and I kind of shot him a message going, hey, I'm a content creator, I'm part of the Zuda Hero Discord, if you ever need a guest, I'm down. And I was really grateful that he had me on. This guy's got wrestlers, voice actors, all sorts of big time people. He just recently had Zordon from Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, and Andros from Power Rangers in Space, the actor for him on. So he's had me on the same podcast as them, so I was very grateful. And I've been on a couple podcasts, but not like Jared. Jared does things in such a different way, very similar to you, very more interview-like way. And after recording, we stayed chatting for a little bit, and I said to him, I was like, do you know what, talking to you, it kind of makes me want to do something similar. And his instant response was, do it. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know, I kind of had second thoughts, or second guessing myself, and Jared went, Ty, I think you'd be really good at it, shut up and do it. And it took about 3 days, I think, of me second guessing myself, beating myself up, do I do it, do I not? Spoke to the missus, and she was like, no, I think you'd be good at talking to people, you're very open, you're very good at coming up with conversational pieces, all that jazz. So I was like, okay, I'll see how this goes. The first couple of episodes are me interviewing my content creator buddies, the two people that I'm in a content creator group with, Jared himself, and things like this, and I've really enjoyed it. It was such a blast interviewing them, learning about them, and I just love talking to people. I love interviewing people because you get to know them. I just love all that, just the social side of things. And again, I guess it's because I didn't have friends growing up. I don't know what it's like to, talk to people. I just like learning about people. And over time, so it's now almost a year and a half old, I've interviewed, I think the biggest person I've interviewed is a comic book creator, and he's got triple 100,000, he's 600,000, something like that, on TikTok. I've interviewed different cosplayers, comic book artists, YouTubers. In March alone, I've got 2 really small, less than 1,000 gaming YouTubers that I followed through Facebook, different Facebook pages, and I was like, oh my god, I need to talk to you, and I need to talk to you, and they both agreed, so I managed to get them on. I've even interviewed, and this is my most viewed podcast episode of all time, I've even interviewed a polyamorous couple who got famous on TikTok because they go live on TikTok and talk about being a polyamorous couple, being in an open relationship, for those who don't know what that means. And because I interviewed them, that's now my most viewed episode, which blows my mind. But yeah, it all started because I was on someone else's podcast and I just really liked the way he did it, and I was like, hey, I'm kind of inspired.
Man, you know, I think it's really cool I think the coolest thing about a podcast for me is just like you said, being able to talk to people, being able to find out new things. I'm a guy that just like, you know, I recently recorded an episode of a podcast. It'll be the last one of this month with like 5 different people on, the 5 main stars of this movie that's coming out. A friend of mine, Jason Pitt, filmmaker here in Arkansas, he made a horror movie called The Forest of the Trees, and I had the 5 main cast members on. And after we got off, he was like, we started talking about stuff, and I was like, I didn't know what to ask after this certain point. And he goes, you should have wrote questions down. I'm like, I don't like doing that, man. I don't do that, you know? And me and you have talked a little bit about this before, you know? I want it to be organic. Whatever I think about, I want to be able to talk about, you know? And some people do like writing questions down and having a very good set of questions. This, or topic points or touching points or something like that. But for me, I feel like I would be distracted looking at a sheet of paper with bullets on it or looking at notes of any kind. Is it the same sort of thing for you?
Oh, yeah, I don't come up with I'll have, like, a general idea in my head, like, before going into a recording, you know, especially, like, so, like, for an example, the episode that comes out on the 10th of March is one of the gaming YouTubers, and I've watched a lot of his content, so I already knew like what sort of questions I was going to ask him, but I don't write anything down, I don't make a list, and I actually shot one of the podcasters that I've been on. I've had them 2 on my podcast as well. He actually messaged me, he was like, hey, I really like your podcast, you know, well done for starting up, and everything. He's like, I really like your questions, and he asked me, like, how long did it take me to come up with my list? I was like, I don't write a list. And he's like, wait, you didn't write any of these down? I was like, no, I was winging the entire interview. And he was generally shocked that I'd completely winged one of my interviews, and he was, like, quite impressed with these questions I came up with.
Man, it's just so much easier whenever you're talking about something. If you know who you're, and I think the other important thing about a podcast is, you know, liking or generally having an interest in the people you bring on. Wouldn't you say so?
Oh yeah, definitely. So a lot of the time, the guests that I have on, I either have been watching for a while and I generally like their content, or I've known them and I've spoken to them before. So like, there's a 2-parter. I had to make it a 2-parter. There's a YouTuber that I know. I've been watching his content for like 10 years now, something like that. He hasn't reached 1,000 just yet, but he's a gamer as well. But I met him through a Facebook group, a gaming YouTuber Facebook group, when I was 16. And I don't even know what made me do this, but I went live on this Facebook group, and I basically made the caption, send me your link and I'll check out your content. And I rated people's content, and he sent me his link, and I really enjoyed his intros, really well done, really enjoyed his vibe. He's a very heavy metal, you know, very punk, rock type character. He's got like a really big mohawk. You know, he's still got the mohawk to this day and things, and I've been watching his content for 10 years since. And I left a comment when I first made the podcast. I left this comment. I was like, hey dude, I've started a podcast, can I interview, blah, blah, blah. He didn't get back to me for like 5 months, and he was like, dude, I had no idea you left this comment, but 100% yes. So he's like, interview me, but interview my editor at the same time. And it was one of the strangest interviews I've ever done, because he's in Australia, which is like several hours ahead of me, and then she's in a different country. I cannot remember the name right now, but she's only 2 hours ahead of me. It's the only podcast recording I've ever done at 11 o'clock in the morning for me. and the podcast recording lasted for 4 hours and like 36 minutes. I had to make it a 2-parter, both parts being 2 hours, because we just enjoyed talking together. It was an absolute blast. But yeah, it's things like that I get to do, you know.
Definitely, man. Definitely. You know, for me, it's like I've been a professional wrestler since 2022. I do audio dramas. I'm a podcaster. I like music. So that's a very wide range of topics. You know, I can find people to talk to. I've had MMA fighters on. I've had musicians from Australia and from, I think, I want to say Switzerland. But also I've had, you on this episode. I've had, oh my gosh, Cypher Productions, Carl Dutton. I had him on. And that's really freaking nuts that I got either of y'all guys on, because y'all's stuff is really cool. You know, I thoroughly enjoy listening to y'all's content, but also I love picking people's brains about this stuff. I think that's the coolest thing, learning how different people think about different things. As far as your podcast, how long did you say you've been doing it now?
So March would make it, I think, 14 months.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're off to a really good start for it, man, and you've had all kinds of awesome people on it and stuff. I don't know how much you listen to my show, and we've talked a little bit about this before, but I like talking to people about emotions. I'm a big mental health advocate, and whatnot. Going through the stuff you went through as a kid, not having any friends all the way up to the age of 16, and then having to deal with, like getting episodes out of on YouTube, on getting your content out on TikTok, all your podcast stuff, everything, man. How do you deal with that? I'm sure it brings a lot of stress and anxiety into your life. How do you deal with that?
That's actually a really good question. So a lot of it is the people around me. So I'm engaged to a fantastic woman. I've known her for so Logan turned 6 in a couple of days. I met her a couple days after, so pretty much 6 years. I've been with her for almost 4 years. And she is the most incredible woman I've ever met. She's so, she encourages me. She helps me out. She will, she doesn't watch every single video I do, because I do have a lot of different YouTube channels. I do a lot of different type of content, but she will like every single video. She'll watch it for a couple of seconds so YouTube counts it as a view, just to push my content out there. If I make a new channel, she subscribes to it. She will remind me if I say to her, okay, on Thursday, the whatever date it is of this month, I have a podcast recording at 10 p.m. She'll remind me the 18th and the 19th that I have a podcast recording on, that time that day. If I don't, let's say a podcast episode fails through, like an interview doesn't happen, which actually happened to me the other day, she'll message, if she's at work or something, she'll message me. If she's home and she'll talk to me, she's like, okay, do you have something, are you able to upload, or, she's always very, like, concerning, so that's very nice. And then my son, Logan adores the fact that I do YouTube. He actually gets time to watch TV every day, and about 80% of the time, he has options: Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. I have it all. He has options. He can watch whatever kids program he wants to watch. He would rather watch my gameplay videos. He'd rather watch me play Spider-Man or Lego games. And he's just got into Power Rangers, and so like I do explanation videos of certain like lore and things. So he wants to watch me do those videos. He likes watching me draw, and I'm now at a point where he's old enough I can read to him proper storybooks, like actual books, and so he wants to listen to my audio dramas, and some of them he wouldn't understand, so I've got to like pick and choose which ones he listens to, but he's really into the fact that I'm a YouTuber, and like I said, we have our own channel. Well, he has a channel, it's our channel technically, but we now have a channel because of it. my content creator group, Free Ranger Bros. Me, Mark the Recording Ranger, and Cosplay 2637. Those two boys have always been supportive. Tiger Tales wouldn't exist without Cosplay Dude 637. He's always supportive of my story writing. He's always there if I'm stuck or I'd have no motivation, or, maybe I've got air quote roadblock and I'm like, I don't know what to do. We'll sit down for 3 hours straight on a Discord call and we'll break stories apart and we'll come up with story plans and, all sorts of fun things. And, I have loyal listeners who, if I upload something, they'll message me and they'll go, hey dude, I really liked this was badass, and things like that. It's just, again, the people around me, the people I do have, they are really supportive, they are loving about it, and they kind of, if I ever do get stressed of the editing or the recording or something fucks up or whatever the case may be, I've got people to lean on. And I can go to my fiance and go, hey, I recorded like a 2 hour long gameplay video, and guess what, my microphone was muted the entire fucking time, and I can rant for like an hour, and she'll go, well, do you need 2 hours? Do you need me to take Logan? Can I do this to help? When can you record it again? Blah, 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 blah. And she'll help me out the best she can. And yeah, it's just, I've got, now, at this age, I have people I can fall back on.
That's really nice to have that, man. That support system. That's always a super big thing because, God, I don't know what I'd do without mine. It's the same with me, I couldn't do what I do without the support from my beautiful wife, from my kids, from my mom, my dad, my brother, anybody who knows anything that I've done, telling me that I can. And shoot, man, honestly, you wouldn't be on this show and none of the other guests would if it wouldn't be for my brother, if I'm being honest, because first season it was just me on there, talking about this and that. And every other week I just had a friend or a family member on. It wasn't like I was inviting people on that were bigger name, because in my mind, everyone was too famous for me to talk to, even if they were local famous. I couldn't talk to them because why would they talk to me? I'm just a random person. There's no reason for them to get on my podcast. But my brother came to me and he said, why don't you invite some of these local MMA fighters on your show, like a guy named Dewan Pickney or Chauncey Foxworth or Solo Hatley or any of these guys. And I'm like, they ain't gonna talk to me. They're famous. And he's like, they're just people, man. And that kind of stuck out in my head in a big way because I'd never thought about even famous people or even people that are well known being just people. They're always larger than life. So without that support, without my wife continuing to tell me, hey, don't forget, you got this. We got this to do this day. You can't do it on this day because we have plans. Don't forget that. And reminding me constantly, or saying, hey, remember, you got this big interview coming up. We gotta get your stuff set up by this time, whatever it may be. I don't know what I would do, in that instance, And there was a time for a minute at the beginning of mine, I did want to stop, because everything was overwhelming. I was trying to record 2 episodes and upload that week, 2 episodes, either that week or for the very next week. So I was stressing the F out, man. I was stressing out bad. And I was like, God, can I even do this, And my wife talked to me and she was like, just dial it back, go back to 1 episode a week. But they're wanting 2. That's what I've been doing. She's like, if you can't do it, don't do it. You're working yourself up too much. So I dialed it back to 1 a week and it's worked out great. Have you ever had moments like that where you felt like you couldn't do it anymore, where you needed to just stop?
Yeah, a couple of times. Going back, so we're now going back 1 second, let me calculate this, living in this house for 2 years. So going back almost 2 years, I had 2 channels. I had the first Tiger Tales, and I had my gaming channel, and I uploaded some other random stuff on the gaming channel, and the gaming channel almost got to 1,000 subscribers. I was 990 something. I was really small numbers away from contacting YouTube about being monetized. I was so close to being paid by YouTube, and things. And then one day I wake up and my phone is on the absolute it's spazzing out like nuts. I'm getting notification, and it's something to do with my email account. I tried to get in, and I've been locked out my email account. And I contact Google, I contact this, that, and the other, and someone's hacked into my email account and changed all of the passwords. They changed the 2-point, authentication thing to a link key that I don't have access to, which means I've lost access to my email account entirely, including my YouTube channel. And
oh my God.
I spend 3 days talking to YouTube, trying to convince them that this is who I am. I'm trying to get my YouTube channel back, trying to change email, And YouTube come back to me and they go, sorry, we can't find this channel. I'm like, what do you mean you can't find this channel? I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers. My fiance the only channels my fiance is subscribed to is a Disney vlogger and me. That is it. So she checks her subscribers and, the people that she subscribed to. My Tai Tiger channel isn't there. So I asked my content creator friends to check to see if and they cannot find Tai Tiger. So whoever hacked into my email account must have clicked on and they deleted Tai Tiger. That channel no longer exists. And the only evidence of that existing is my younger brother used to live stream with me on his YouTube channel, and you can hear my voice, and we used to play GTA together. That's the only ever thing that from that channel that exists. I sat there for a week kicking the crap into myself. I was like, how the hell? What do I do now? What on earth do I do now? I also lost access to Tiger Tales. Thankfully, my content creator friend Mark, one of my partners, he managed to actually get all the audio from the YouTube channels and send them to me from the original Tiger Tales. I made Tiger Tales 2.0, basically. The Tiger Tales that you find now is Tiger Tales 2.0, technically. And so I'm sat here and I'm beating myself up. I don't know what to do. And I'm ready to give up. I'm done. I can't be bothered. It took me 6 years and a half to get to almost 1,000 subscribers, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm sorted. That's it. I'll do something else in my life. And then I don't know. I don't actually know what made my head turn. I don't know what clicked in my brain, but I thought about what was that channel, and that channel was progression of audio quality getting better, my recordings getting better, the amount of gaming walkthroughs I did where part 4 of a game I'm in level 2, but then when part 5 comes out I'm in level 4 because I've recorded level 3 and 4 but it didn't record and you can't backtrack on a game, so now I'm stuck. I either replay the whole game and get to the point I am, or I just tell people, hey, guess what, you missed out on level 3, tough. That happened a fair few times. My ex-partner, my son's mother, was on that channel and all this other stuff, and it's like, I have a chance to start again with the skills I have now, with the abilities that I have now. I have better recording equipment, editing skills, all this jazz. I get to play games that I really enjoy again. I can do things better, and it took me about a week to get to this realization. But yeah, that was a big low moment for me. Losing everything. But now, Tai Tiger has been around for almost 2 years. There's 107 subscribers. Tiger Tales is back. There's plenty more YouTube channels now. I learned a lot about, not putting different types of content on one YouTube channel. That doesn't always work. So I separate it all. And so that's why there's multiple channels under the Tiger Entertainment Network, which is my network. I'm now working with people and things like this. But it's when it comes to the podcast specifically, I had to learn, and I still do this to this day. I literally did it today, to tell the absolute truth. I have this whole issue where, in my head, I have to stick to the schedule that I made up. Which makes no sense, I know. But I will sit here and beat myself up if I don't stick to the schedule that I made up. So I have 20 odd channels. There's a lot of different Tiger Tales channels. There's different gaming channels. Technically speaking, I have 9. It's just there's multiples of this similar content. But for example, if I don't upload a podcast every single Monday, you know, let's say I'm unable to upload one, I consider that a fail on my behalf. You know, if I'm unable to record a gameplay video for a Tuesday, I'll consider that a fail. You know, if I can't get this video edited by this day, I'll consider that a fail. And like I beat myself up a lot, and that's one thing my fiance always like says to me is like, yeah, but you made up the schedule. Why are you beating yourself up over something you literally made up yourself? You know, does it matter? And she has to keep asking me that question. I'm like, no, I guess not. Like,
That's a good. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, she quite often says to me, she goes to me, name me one of your favorite YouTubers. So I'll give her one of my favorite YouTubers, and she goes, do they have a schedule? And I'll go, no. And then she'll go, exactly. I'm like, all right, fair enough.
See, like, that's the wonderful thing about having partners who are supportive of everything that you're doing. Because, I mean, my wife, that's been more than once. She's been like, you're overworking yourself. You're doing too much. Or she'll be like, you're doing it again. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, you're right. Because, like, you juggle, like, whenever I was writing these audio dramas that'll be releasing this year, every 2 months, every other month, I'll be releasing a new audio drama. And when I was writing those, I was writing them like back to back all at once, plus scheduling podcasts, doing podcasts, recording dialogue, all this stuff, and then trying to make new stuff as well. She's like, you're doing too much right now. You know, you're not like, you give yourself a break, you know, you're putting too much stress on yourself. And that's the beautiful thing, about having, a partner, a fiance, a wife that is, as supportive as ours are for our stuff, you know. I absolutely love her to death for that, because I would be working myself into the ground and being depressed and stressed all the time, you know, if it wasn't for them. But the thing I want to ask is, for anybody who's looking to start a streaming, maybe not a business or anything, but like podcasts, audio dramas, gaming, anything, any kind of social media stuff, what is the best advice you could give to them from your experience?
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. First off, don't second question yourself, just do it. Which is actually something that one of my favorite YouTubers said, because he was talking about he did a Q&A video, and someone asked him, oh, like, you know, how do I start this, and his response was, just do it. Why your second question? If you want to do it, just do it. YouTube is free. You know, you don't have to pay for anything to upload on YouTube. Research. There are so many YouTube tutorials on, you know, using Audacity, Discord, OBS, consoles, you know, this, that, and the other. There are tutorials everywhere. Do not be afraid to ask for help. You know, there are people in the same boat as you. You know, look at Facebook groups, you know, look at Instagram, you know, look at these people that are, you know, check Reddit. I know that's a bit of a weird one, but there are people asking the same questions you're asking. Research is definitely one. Yeah, don't second guess it, just do it. That's definitely another big one. And audio, you know, make sure that, I think the biggest thing that turns people off to a video is audio quality. I see a lot of YouTubers that are like new, that their video quality ain't great, but they're getting the views, and I think it's the audio that is fine. So, you know, again, research your audio, but most of all, just have fun. Don't make it a chore. Don't make content you don't want to make. You know, if you're, for example, you know, let's use gaming here for a minute. If there's a new game that's coming out in 3 weeks, and you know it's going to get a lot of hype, but it isn't your type of game, you know, you hate, I don't know, first-person shooters, for example, you hate them, don't force yourself to play it then. don't force yourself to make content you don't want to make. That's just dumb. If you're not in the content, if you're not into it, you are gonna betray that. It's so easy to detect when someone isn't enjoying themselves. And be yourself in your videos. Don't hide who you are. If you're a type of person who, goes off on a whim and monologues to themselves and, spends 5 minutes, bitching about something and, just be yourself. Don't worry if your accent's funny or, if you're insecure about something, just be you. That's the best thing to do. There's too much negativity, there's too much hate out there for all this insecurity-ness to get in the way. Just have fun, just be yourself, just enjoy it. Just, YouTube, Twitch, podcasting, whatever the case may be, whatever the content you're trying to do, just have fun at the end of the day, allow the numbers to build and don't expect things to happen straight away because that's unrealistic. Like I said, the guy that I've been following for 10 years, so I managed to interview, he's not even at 1,000 subscribers yet, and he's been doing YouTube for like 12 years. So it takes time, but just enjoy it, man. Just have fun and be yourself and just ride the waves.
Definitely, man. I think I'm pretty good on asking questions about what you do, and I've gotten a lot of awesome answers. I think the people are gonna love it. Would you mind just nerding out with me for a second about some stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Right on, dude. So if I asked you, what is your top 3 superhero movies of all time? What would you say?
Oh, damn. Okay, you put me on the goddamn spot now.
Gotta do it, man. You gotta do it.
Shit. Wait, okay,
Yep,
so it can be anything as long as it's a superhero film, right?
Well, let's stick to Marvel and DC just to be on the safe side.
Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's a difficult one. Okay.
Throw you under the bus right at the end of the episode. I'm telling you, man.
I'm gonna have to go Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This isn't any particular order, by the way. No particular order. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Dark Knight, and I'm gonna have to put Infinity War and Endgame in the same thing because to me they're basically one movie, just part 1 and part 2. Infinity War / Endgame.
I mean, they were filmed at the same time. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like the same thing.
Yeah.
What makes those 3 the best?
So The Dark Knight is my favorite DC film of all time, mostly because of Heath Ledger. He's
oh my god, so good.
Yeah, my uncle is an artist, and I have a canvas with a very, very, very well done, painted, very detailed picture of Heath Ledger's Joker holding a playing card. That's hung up in my office. It's so goddamn good. He's just fantastic, but I just love the action. I just love the film. Heath Ledger obviously is cherry on top. For Infinity War and Endgame, I grew up with the MCU. So I was born 98, which makes me 26 this year, and so that I grew up on Iron Man and Captain America. So hang on, Iron Man's what, 2009? So I'm 11 when Iron Man comes out. So my growing up, learning comic books, reading comic books, getting in, being a geek, the films mirrored that. I got to enjoy the films at the same time. And Endgame and Infinity War, it was like watching the season finale of something. And it also kind of highlights a really big point in my life because Infinity War, 4 months after, Infinity War was May, I think. So at the end of the year that Infinity War came out, I found out that my partner at the time was pregnant. When Endgame came out, I had my son by that point. So, one film, I was about to be a dad. One film, I am a dad. So that kind of has like a kind of special place in my heart. And then Across the Spider-Verse, it showed that you do not need live action. Animation still kicks ass to this day. and it did some of the best Spider-Man content that anyone's ever managed to pull off.
Oh man, yeah. I'm gonna level with you. I haven't watched either Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse yet, and I know Into the Spider-Verse has been out for a millennia now, but I haven't watched either of those. But I've heard nothing but good about them, and I think it's cool that they put all of the Spider-Mans in there and some new ones too. You know, I've seen it Across the Spider-Verse. You see all kinds of different Spider-Man. For me, I think mine are kind of. I like all right, Dark Knight, number one movie of all time. Period. For me, I haven't found a movie that I like more than Dark Knight that I could repeat watch it because the story was great. I like dark and gritty, and Heath Ledger was just amazing. Christian Bale, man, I like this Batman Begins suit way better than the Dark Knight suit that he wore, honestly. But I'm not wearing hockey pads. That sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it was really good, it was awesome. Captain America Civil War probably is going to be in my top 3 because that movie was just great. I mean, I don't know. It was like Avengers 2.5 or something like that at the end of it, but by the end of it, but just the emotional depth they had in that. And, the third one, I don't know. That one's a difficult one. I could probably agree with you on Endgame and Infinity War though, for the same reasons. Apart from I was born in '90, so I didn't initially grow up with those. I grew up with like X-Men and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Val Kilmer Batman and that sort of thing. But the next thing I want to ask you, and this will be the last thing I ask you as far as this episode goes. What are the 3 movies that are? I changed my mind on the question. What 3 movies do people, as far as superhero movies go, that people think are not good that you like?
Ooh, 3 films that people think are bad but I enjoy. Okay. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to think now. See, I don't know, because I have an argument for a lot of things. I'm a very argumentative person. You should see me on TikTok.
I can tell you 2 of the ones that I like. Well, actually, I can give you all 3 of them probably. That I liked was I like Ben Affleck's Daredevil. I did like that one. I like the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds, and this is going to be very controversial, I think, even with you, Fanforstic, the 2015 Fantastic Four. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan.
I was going to say the only thing that makes that movie bearable is Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm. That's the only film I rolled my eye. You listed 3 movies. I was like, all right, okay, Daredevil. I agree with Green Lantern. Green Lantern is not a great movie. I will say that. It's not fantastic. It's nowhere near like Dark Knight level. But is it enjoyable? Hell fuck yes, it's enjoyable. It's a good film. It's a fun watch. The CGI may be a bit weird, but like, who cares? So yeah, okay, I'll give you Green Lantern. That one I'll go on. Batman Forever. I know that a lot of people don't like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but I really do like them. Like,
I love that movie.
Like, I see so many people hating on Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, but I'm just like, they're not that bad. Like, come on, it fitted in with the goofiness. I'm sorry, did you see the Penguin? Like, come on, he had penguins and rocket launchers, like rockets on them. Like, it matches that style of like goofiness, and it's the 90s. Like, the 90s gets away with a lot of things. And then, I'm gonna have to give it to, ooh, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a Marvel one because I got 2 DC ones there. Oh, actually, yeah, I know one that gets a lot of flack now. It's relatively new. But Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh, that's a good shout, man. That's a good shout.
A lot of people slag that film off, and I'm like,
I thought it was good.
why? It's fun. Like you're exploring the quantum verse, the quantum realm, whatever you want to call it. There's weird, wacky designs. It's a fun time. His daughter's now kick-ass too, which it was inevitable to happen. You get more background story with Wasp's mum and things, and Kang's in it, but I think he did a kick-ass job. I think he was great.
Yeah, definitely, man. And as far as Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, dude, those were my childhood, man. I loved freaking Batman Forever. Val Kilmer was my Batman for the until Christian Bale came along. Val Kilmer was my Batman, not Michael Keaton, which is nuts, I think, for a lot of people. But to me, Val Kilmer acted, looked, and sounded in my young kid brain like the cartoon Batman, like Kevin Conroy. You know what I mean?
He's a better Bruce Wayne than a Batman, personally, but he does do a very good, I personally believe, as a Bruce Wayne, he's pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I could not stand Batman and Robin because George Clooney. What the hell, man? Come on. Batman doesn't smile at Mr. Freeze. Batman doesn't smile hardly at all. Come on now. He's smirking in every scene nearly. It's George Clooney. What the hell? Oh, man. I think there's one that we didn't say because I don't think either of us, I don't know about you, I did not care for it that much. The Flash movie. That movie was not amazing.
Okay, so, fun fact, I haven't watched the film because my brother from another mother watched it. He then messaged me and explained a few things. I then watched the Pitch Meeting YouTube channel, and they did a video on The Flash. It made me want to throw up, and I was like, yeah, I'm not watching that. I'm good.
Oh, you are not missing that. You're not missing out on anything.
I know.
Man. You're not missing out on anything. Freaking, it doesn't make sense. Like, the whole movie doesn't make sense. Why did you even do what they did? Anyways.
Well, so the mate that I mentioned, he's not into the comic books. All of his Marvel and DC love comes from the TV shows and the movies, the cartoons, that sort of stuff, the media side of things. So I explained to him that Flashpoint should be the Civil War movie for DC. Look at Civil War, there's multiple characters. It changed the trajectory of the big storyline of the MCU, and it was hard-hitting, but it revolved around Captain America. That's what Flashpoint should have been for the DC, whatever it was called, DCE or whatever. It should have had multiple heroes, new characters in it. It should have had, major changes for the universe, but revolve around the Flash. And it wasn't.
That's what I was going to say that, man. They had everything they needed. They had Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne. They had whatever her name was as Martha Wayne in Ben Affleck's Batman universe, And he would have been great as freaking the gun-wielding Batman from the Flashpoint, It would have been awesome to see that. And I don't understand why they did what they did. It doesn't make sense. They didn't even have Henry Cavill in it. And he was freaking Superman, you know what I'm saying? It didn't make sense. It did not make sense at all. But man, I have had such a blast talking to you in this conversation. Before we get off of here, we're going to end the show the way I end every show, and that is gratefulness. I'm a very big fan of gratefulness. I'm going to say 3 things I'm grateful for, and then I'll let you do the same. For me, it doesn't change. The first thing is my support system. My mom, my dad, my wife, my 2 beautiful daughters, my brother, anybody who supported me doing anything that I do. I am very much grateful for because I wouldn't be doing it without them. We kind of hit on that a little earlier. The second thing is, well, you, the guest, anybody who's came on my show at all, including you, because if I'm being honest, Ty, man, you didn't have to come on here. I'm just some dude that likes talking to people. So I'm super grateful that you took the time out of your evening, morning. I don't know how to determine it. It's like 2 a.m. there, I think, right?
It is currently 5 minutes past 3 in the morning.
I'm incorrect. I do apologize for that. But I'm grateful you took the time out of your evening/morning to talk to me. It means the world to. The third thing is kind of a twofer, my health. constantly getting better every day since I had an accident back in September where my car had fallen on me. I've gotten better every day since, so I'm very grateful that I'm in good health right now and the good Lord above, because in my heart, in my mind, in my body, I know that if you don't have God, you can't do anything, and if you do have him, anything is possible. And I know not everybody believes that way, but that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own beliefs. Ty, what are 3 things that you're grateful for in this moment?
I'm grateful for my fiance and my son, my family. Without them, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you. I wouldn't have the courage to talk to you. I wouldn't have the courage to do anything that I do. They're a great support system, and they inspire me and they encourage me. And I'm grateful for, my partners in content creating, because they do exactly the same. They support me and everything. My best friend, he also supports me, and they're all loving, and they look after me when I'm unable to look after myself. Second thing is I'm grateful for the platforms I'm able to create content on and the abilities that I have. I'm able to play video games, talk to people on a podcast, tell stories that I've written, show off my artwork, whatever the case may be. I'm able to do what I love, and because I'm a stay-at-home dad and I'm a carer, I'm able to have time to do all these different things. And I have such a drive for content creating, so I'm very grateful for that. And thirdly, I'm grateful for everyone that I've met through content creating. Yourself. You're going to come on my podcast at some point, so I'm looking forward to that. I've met fantastic individuals on the podcast. My voice actors are so kick-ass. They're very involved in the storylines. Some of the OCs are created by my own voice actors, and we work together and stuff. The podcasts I've been on before this one, without me being on a podcast, I wouldn't have my own podcast. I've met some badass comic book creators, cosplayers, all sorts of individuals, and just without meeting all these people, I wouldn't know things, I wouldn't have been told fantastic stories, I wouldn't have these experiences. I've gone to Comic Cons because of content creators and things like this. So yeah, without you people, I wouldn't be sat here. So
What do you mean, you people? I'm just playing, dude. I'm just playing. Hey man, I appreciate you coming on, dude. Where can people find Tai Tiger?
Okay, so on Instagram, I'm gonna have to quickly check my Instagram because I don't. I always muddle up the 3 numbers at the end. It changes. I have to check. So on Instagram, I am Tai Tiger 475. On TikTok, it's the Tiger Entertainment Network. And then my link tree is also the Tiger Entertainment Network. If you check out the link tree, you'll find my podcast, all my gaming content, my art channel, my geek channel, my Tiger Tales channels. My podcast is the Tiger Nexus podcast. It's on all podcast platforms and on Spotify. The Unionverse is called the Tiger Tales Marvel. It's called the Tiger Tales Marvel and DC Unionverse, and that's an audio drama podcast. That's on Spotify and on YouTube. And then huge shout out to the 3 Ranger Bros studios, which is myself, Mark the Corner Ranger, and Cosplay Dude 637. Both of them are big cosplayers on TikTok. They also have their own audio dramas, their own podcasts, etc., etc. But we have a brand new channel coming out on the 11th of March, called the 3 Ranger Bros Studios, where it will be myself in every video with either Mark or Cosplay Dude, or all 3 of us at once. And there's all different types of videos. We're talking hypothetical questions, making up scenarios. We're talking story content. There's a podcast involved. There's cosplaying involved. There's competitions and contests involved. There's all sorts of content coming to that channel. So that's a huge shout out to that one as well.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, I have had a blast, man. I've had an awesome time talking to you. And, man, I can't wait to come on your show. It's going to be a blast getting to talk to you again.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Well, hey, man, I'm going to let you get off of here. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will catch up sometime really soon.
All right, then, dude. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir.